That calm spring morning, sunlight spilled gently across the garden in Queen and casting a golden glow over the tulips and freshly mown grass. The air carried a faint sweetness from the lilacs lining the fence, drifting through the open kitchen windows of the house Lily and James had built together. Inside, Lily moved with a quiet, effortless rhythm, humming softly as she prepared tea. She loved mornings like this, unhurried, simple, almost impossibly perfect. She had no idea these were the last moments she would remember as truly peaceful. Then the phone rang, shrill, insistent, shattering the calm like a sudden crack of glass. Lily frowned. Calls at this hour were unusual. With a small sigh, she set down the spoon, wiped her hands on the towel hanging from the oven handle, and walked to the phone. She had no sense that this call would cleave her life in two. "Hello," she said, her voice soft, her lips still curved in a smile. On the other end, a woman's voice replied, steady, confident, and unnervingly unfamiliar. She spoke slowly, deliberately, savoring each word. "Good morning. You don't know me, but I know you very well." A chill ran down Lily's spine. The warmth of the morning drained instantly, replaced by a gnawing, restless unease. "Who are you? What do you want?" Lily asked, keeping her voice steady, even as her hand clenched the phone tighter. "You called me," the woman said smoothly. "But don't worry, you'll never forget my name after today. We need to meet in person. I think we have someone in common, someone very special to me." A heavy silence hung in the air. Lily's heart thudded in her chest, and her throat tightened. "What are you talking about?" "Please be clear," she whispered, her voice trembling. The woman, Paige, laughed, low and cruel, savoring Lily's confusion. After a pause that felt like an eternity, she finally delivered the words that would shatter Lily's world. "Don't play innocent, sweetheart. We both know exactly who James is, your husband, or should I say our man. He's been mine for a long time. But it's time to lay the cards on the table. Tomorrow noon, meet me at the Silver Spoon downtown. And I suggest you come prepared for the worst." Lily's legs gave way beneath her. The floor seemed to vanish. She gripped the wall for support as her breath hitched. Paige's words echoed in her mind, brutal and undeniable. "Why are you doing this to me?" she stammered, tears blurring her vision. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" "No joke," Paige said, her voice sharp with contempt. "The joke was that you believed he was faithful, that you thought you had your perfect little life while James came to me for what he could never find with you. Wake up, honey, before it's too late." The line went dead. Paige had hung up without hesitation, leaving only the cold silence of the room. The phone slipped from Lily's trembling hands and thudded against the hardwood. She stood frozen, staring blankly ahead, tears streaming down her cheeks unnoticed. Wrapping her arms around herself, Lily sank onto the sofa. The world she had built so carefully felt as though it were crumbling. Inside her mind, questions and accusations swirled in a storm she couldn't escape. How had she been so blind? So trusting? So naive? Her body shook as sobs escaped, soaking the fabric beneath her. But beneath the anguish, a heavier truth settled in her chest, a truth she couldn't ignore. Life as she knew it would never be the same. That night, Seattle slept beneath a blanket of stars while Paige paced her sleek Belltown loft. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflected her movements as the warm glow of the city spilled inside. She wasn't restless, she was calculating. Every step, every pause deliberate, like a spider weaving an intricate web impossible to escape. She paused at the dining room mirror, her eyes glinting with satisfaction. Soon, she would have everything she wanted, no matter who she had to destroy to get it. Lifting her phone, she dialed a familiar number. A sly smile curved her lips. Across the city in his office near Pike Place Market, James rubbed his temples, weary from the long day. The late-night call startled him. Closing his office door, he answered, his voice edged with surprise and concern. "Paige? Is everything okay? Why are you calling so late?" Paige's voice cracked, carefully staged, dripping with feigned fragility. "James, I'm sorry to call so late, but something awful happened. I couldn't wait. I'm at my breaking point." Alarm shot through him. He sank into his chair, heart racing. What happened? Paige, calm down. You're scaring me. Paige drew a shaky breath, forcing soft sobs, each one part of her performance. It's Lily, James. She found out everything. I don't know how, but she called me today. It was horrible. She threatened me, said terrible things. And now she wants to meet me at the Silver Spoon tomorrow, face to face. James blinked in disbelief. Lily? Quiet, gentle Lily? The woman who barely raised her voice in an argument? The words clashed violently with the image he held of her. Are you sure it was her? That doesn't sound like Lily. It's not her style. Paige's tone sharpened, indignant. Do you think I'd make this up, James? I'm pregnant with your child. I don't need to invent lies. I just wanted peace, but now I'm terrified. I never imagined she would lash out like this. I thought you had everything under control. The word pregnant hit him like a hammer. Guilt coiled around his chest, squeezing. The thought of losing Paige, or the child, made his stomach twist painfully. I don't know how this happened, he muttered, running a hand over his face. I never wanted you dragged into this. I'll be there tomorrow. I won't let Lily hurt you. You're not alone. I promise. On the other end, Paige allowed herself a private smile. He was exactly where she wanted him. Trapped by guilt, blinded by obsession. Thank you, James, she whispered, trembling with false relief. You don't know how much that means. I'm so afraid of what Lily might do. She hung up. Alone in her loft, she gazed out at the sparkling city skyline, whispering to herself with chilling satisfaction. Everything's falling into place. Tomorrow, your little wifey will learn I'm not playing. Meanwhile, James sat motionless in his office, hands trembling as guilt gnawed at him. He had built a marriage on trust, on promises, and now he was betraying it all. His pride, lust, and obsession with Paige clouded his judgment. He wanted to protect her, even if it meant destroying the life he had built with Lily. Rising, he moved to the window. The dark waters of Elliott Bay shimmered with faint city lights, like secrets floating in the night. He pressed his forehead to the glass, unaware that Paige's lies had already set the stage. Tomorrow, everything would change, irreversibly. Morning arrived too quickly for Lily. The memory of Paige's cruel call burned in her mind, leaving her restless and tense. Standing before the mirror in her Queen home, she studied her reflection, summoning every ounce of courage she could. Her hands trembled slightly, but she promised herself she wouldn't show weakness. Carefully, she chose a modest yet elegant dress, soft navy silk that flowed over her figure, concealing her shaking hands while reflecting the quiet strength she was determined to embody. The Silver Spoon, nestled in downtown Seattle, looked inviting from the outside. Its sleek windows caught the morning sun and reflected the bustle of the street. But the moment Lily stepped inside, a sharp tension gripped her chest. The restaurant buzzed with conversation, clinking glasses, and the scent of fresh pastries and roasted coffee. Patrons laughed, oblivious to the storm about to erupt. Lily felt conspicuously out of place, as if she were the only one who had glimpsed the darkness waiting just ahead. She seated herself, placing her hands lightly on the table, fighting the tremor that threatened to betray her resolve. It wasn't long before Paige appeared. She glided through the doors in a striking red dress, demanding, dangerous, magnetic. Every eye followed her as she approached. Paige sank into the chair across from Lily, crossing her legs with theatrical precision, her smile dripping with smug irony. "Well, what a surprise, you actually came," Paige said, voice laced with mockery, eyes daring Lily to respond. "I wasn't sure you'd have the nerve." Lily lifted her chin, drawing a steadying breath. "Nerve is something I never lack, Paige. Maybe you've mistaken me for someone else." Paige let out a sharp, mocking laugh that turned heads at nearby tables. "Oh, please. I know exactly who you are. A weak little woman who couldn't even keep her own husband interested. Pathetic. But don't worry, honey. Your suffering won't last much longer." Under the table, Lily's fists clenched. She drew in a deep, steadying breath. Rage burned through her veins, but she forced herself to stay composed, channeling the fury into poise. "Let's cut to the chase, Paige," she said evenly. "What do you actually want from me? Why are you doing this?" Paige leaned forward, her voice a velvet dagger. I want you to understand something very clearly. I'm pregnant with James's child. We're getting married. And you need to disappear. Starting today, you have two choices. Step out of his life with a shred of dignity, or move into our house as the maid who'll raise our baby. After all, that's about all you're good for. The words hit Lily like a gunshot. Her stomach twisted, her chest constricted, but she forced herself to look Paige in the eye. The restaurant's hum quieted. Patrons began glancing toward their table. Lily swallowed hard, lifting her voice, steady, unwavering. You think you can destroy me with words, she said. Maybe you have James now, Paige, but make no mistake, you won't break me. I have enough dignity to rebuild my life far from the lies you're living in. For the first time, Paige's expression wavered. Her perfect mask cracked just slightly. But before she could answer, a familiar voice cut through the tension. What's going on here? Both women turned to see James standing beside the table, his face tight with tension, his posture rigid. Paige shifted instantly into her role as the frightened victim, her voice trembling with fake emotion. James, thank God you're here. She attacked me. She wouldn't let me explain. I'm so scared. That's a lie. Lily shot back, her heart hammering. She planned all of this. She's lying to you, James. The restaurant seemed to hold its breath. James's mind scrambled as he stood trapped in the middle of a humiliating scene, aware that every eye in the room was on him. Paige seized the moment, springing to her feet and feigning a stumble over the chair. She let out an exaggerated cry. Ow! She tripped me. James, you saw that. Blinded by chaos, James reacted instinctively, stepping toward Lily with a mix of anger and confusion, completely under Paige's control. You've lost your mind, Lily. How dare you stoop this low, he shouted, his voice shaking with shame and rage. James, listen to me, Lily pleaded, grabbing his arm. But he yanked it away, consumed by fury. Then, in a horrifying instant, James raised his hand and struck her across the face. The sound of the slap echoed through the restaurant. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Lily's cheek burned, but the deeper wound was the humiliation that spread through her very bones. Patrons whispered, glancing nervously between the three of them. Tears streamed down her face, but she kept her head high. James froze, the reality of what he'd done slamming into him. Across from him, Paige hid a satisfied smirk behind a mask of shock. Lily straightened, inhaled sharply, and met his eyes with unwavering resolve. You're going to regret this, James, she said quietly, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but the day will come. And when it does, you'll remember this moment. You'll feel in your own skin the pain and humiliation you caused me. Without another word, she turned and walked out, ignoring the whispers and stares. Paige immediately wrapped herself around James's arm, her voice honeyed and manipulative. Don't worry, my love. It's just you and me now. James stood frozen, heart pounding, every pair of eyes in the room weighing on him. Paige's arms felt like a cage. Shoo, honey. It's all right, she whispered, her voice smooth and venomous. She needed to hear the truth. You just did what you had to do. James tore himself free and stormed into the night, desperate for air. Later, at Paige's Belltown loft, he locked himself in the bedroom, collapsing onto the edge of the bed, his hands covering his face. The restaurant scene replayed on a loop, Lily's tear-streaked face, the slap he'd delivered, her final, scathing words. For the first time, he felt he'd crossed an irreversible line. Guilt weighed on him until tears finally broke free. Soft footsteps approached. Paige slipped inside, her voice sweet but poisonous. What's wrong, James? Don't tell me you regret it. She asked for it. Don't forget what she did to me. James looked up, seeing the cold calculation behind her delicate facade. His voice trembled. I hit her, Paige. In front of everyone. What's wrong with me? I never should have done that. Paige stroked his hair, her tone tender but hollow. You defended me. It was hard, but it's over. Think about us, about our future, about our child. Lily doesn't matter anymore. You did the right thing. Her words dug a hollow pit in his chest. Memories of happier times with Lily stabbed at him. "I don't even know who I am anymore," he whispered. Paige's patience snapped. Her voice hardened. "You've already made your choice, James. There's no turning back. Either stay with me and our child, or spend the rest of your life regretting what you can't change." And in that moment, James finally saw her for who she truly was. She wasn't the woman he thought he loved. As Paige slipped back into her fragile act, begging him to forget Lily, he nodded mechanically. But deep down, something fractured. Lily's words haunted him, marking the start of his slow, painful unraveling, a ruin of his own making, born of lies, lust, and misplaced loyalty. Months later, Lily sat on the terrace of her Queen home, the city bathed in the warm glow of sunset. Tulips and lavender swayed gently in the spring breeze. The faint scent of rosemary hung in the air. After a grueling but fair divorce, she finally felt free, her heart lighter, her thoughts clearer. Across from her, Ethan, her longtime friend who had quietly become something more, handed her a steaming cup of tea. "I was just thinking," Lily said softly, her eyes tracing the fiery clouds above the skyline. "Not long ago I thought my life was over. If someone had told me I'd be here with you, I wouldn't have believed it." Ethan smiled warmly. "You deserve this and so much more," he said. "You rose from the ashes on your own. I just stood by your side." They sipped their tea in companionable silence, the soft clink of porcelain blending with the distant hum of the city below. For a moment, the past, the lies, the heartbreak, the humiliation, felt like nothing more than a fading shadow. Then Lily's phone buzzed on the side table. Her chest tightened when she saw James's name flash across the screen. She hesitated, a flicker of old fear and anger stirring, but Ethan reached over and gently touched her hand. "Answer," he said quietly. "You're strong enough now." Lily drew a deep breath and did. "Lily," James's voice cracked, brittle with guilt. "I need to apologize. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I can't stand this guilt." Lily listened without flinching. The words, once capable of crushing her, now held no power. "You had all the time in the world to realize that," she said calmly. "But it's too late now. I'm moving on, and you should too." A long silence followed, then a heavy sigh. "I know. I needed you to hear it. I hope you find happiness." Lily lowered the phone and looked at Ethan, a quiet smile brushing her lips. "Sometimes people only realize the value of something after they've lost it. And now you know what truly matters," he replied. "Yes," she said, her smile widening. "And you're a part of that." He leaned forward and kissed her gently. For the first time in a long while, Lily felt truly cherished, seen, and safe. From the garden gate came the sound of laughter. Friends had arrived. Megan, Lily's closest friend, stepped onto the terrace with a wide grin. "Looks like we showed up just in time," she said, her voice warm and teasing. Lily laughed, rich and unrestrained. "You did. Come join us, there's so much to share." As Ethan welcomed the other guests, Lily took in the vibrant scene around her. Friends chatting, wine glasses catching the last rays of sunlight, the scent of blooming flowers mingling with the cool evening air. The pain of the past felt distant, replaced by love, gratitude, and the exhilarating sense of a life reclaimed. As darkness settled over the garden, laughter and chatter carrying into the night, Lily realized she had discovered something far more precious than anything she had lost: herself, her peace, her happiness. And she knew she would never allow anyone to dim that light again. Meanwhile, across the city, James sat alone in his Belltown apartment. The once lively space felt suffocating and hollow, shadows stretching across the furniture like reminders of his failures. Paige had stepped out, claiming she was visiting a friend, but James knew better. A flicker of suspicion turned to dread when he noticed her phone light up with a message left carelessly on the table. "I'll be waiting, love. Don't take too long. I miss you." Compelled by a desperate impulse, he followed her discreetly. What he saw shattered him. In the lobby of a downtown hotel, Paige met a man, their conversation carrying even as he remained hidden in the shadows. "How much longer do I have to share you with that fool?" the man demanded. "Relax, Mark. Paige replied, her cruel smile cutting through the tension. I still need him a little longer. Soon, everything will be ours. He won't even see it coming. The words hit James like ice water. The woman he had chosen over Lily, the woman for whom he had destroyed his marriage, was nothing more than a schemer. A traitor. Her voice echoed the warning he had ignored for so long. You're going to regret this, James. Shaken, he instinctively dialed Lily's number, desperate to hear her voice, only to be met by Ethan. James, you've already hurt her enough, Ethan said firmly. She's finally happy, and she doesn't need to hear from you. Whatever you have to say doesn't matter anymore. Tears blurred James's vision. Just tell her I know she was right. I ruined myself. James, Ethan replied calmly, she already knows. Now it's time for you to move on. The line went dead. James sank to the floor as rain pelted the city outside his window, feeling utterly alone, betrayed, broken, and abandoned. Weeks later, he managed to salvage what little remained of his estate from Paige's manipulations, only to discover with bitter clarity that the child he had believed was his own was not. Months passed, and life offered him a fragile second chance in the form of Claire, a kind and honest woman. With her, James relearned trust, respect, and the quiet contentment he had once taken for granted. His life would never shine with the same brilliance it once had, but in its place emerged something far more enduring: resilience, perspective, and the possibility of a fresh start. Life doesn't warn you when the ground will give way beneath your feet, but it is in those storms that you discover the strength you already carry. And with time, you learn the essential truth. It is never too late to rise, to love, and to find joy again. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.